Following the fall of Kabul 1 year ago, more than 75,000 Afghan refugees did manage to escape to the U.S. NBC's Erin McLaughlin spoke recently to a number of refugees in California who did get out, but they're frustrated with the lack of support they've received in the resettlement process.
The fall of Kabul to the Taliban triggered fear, chaos, and confusion. A year later, more than 75,000 Afghans have managed to escape to the U.S., many resettling in communities like Turlock, California, where some are still struggling and not receiving the services they need to begin a new life. It's here that we meet 4-year-old Mohammed, who, with the help of Krishan Campbell, is getting his vaccinations, possibly for the second time because his family says the medical records have been lost since arriving in the U.S.
Good job.
Campbell doesn't work for a resettlement agency, and scheduling and driving families to and from medical appointments isn't her responsibility as a child development supervisor for the county. But she says she's left with little choice.
We'll get a request from a family to take them to the grocery store or something like that. And so that is not typical of what our program does.
And this is happening every time?
Yes.
I notice there might be a bit of frustration there.
It's sadness and frustration for the families.
Someone is supposed to be helping them.
Yes.
And it's not happening.
Not to the extent that we understood.
In California, the federal government has tasked 23 resettlement agencies and community partners to assist new refugee arrivals. In Turlock, that responsibility falls solely on the International Rescue Committee, an NGO that's contracted to help recent Afghan arrivals navigate the complex U.S. systems. From finding housing to accessing health services to enrolling in English language instruction. And yet, we interviewed refugees who say they're frustrated and feeling left behind, like 25-year-old Mustafa Hassani, who, when we met him, had been living in the same motel room for 8 months.
It's really hard. I mean, living alone here, having no one around to talk to, it's really hard for me.
Nasir Ahmad Alam used to work as a security guard at the U.S. Embassy in Kabul. Now he's found work at a car wash in Turlock, and his family has settled into an apartment. But he says they're still struggling and in need of more help. Do you feel supported?
I feel disappointed when I'm contacting or referring to IRC, ask for support. They're saying go and come after a month or 2 months, so I feel disappointed for this.
Do you miss your home?
Yeah, I miss. I'm missing my family in my country.
In a statement, the IRC points to the historically large challenge and incredible task of scaling up to meet the increased resettlement goal under the Biden administration, after the dismantling of the refugee resettlement infrastructure under the Trump administration, adding that in most communities, virtually all refugees have been transferred into permanent housing, and significant benefits have been dispersed. But community advocates are still frustrated that more hasn't been done.
Can't have people falling through the cracks like this. They stood up for the American mission in Afghanistan. People deserve better.